Hi, everyone. Welcome to our weekly chat. Thank you so much for joining us again. My name is Estefani, and I'm one of the volunteers at the Bowen Stevens Spiritist Centre in Melbourne, Australia. And we'd like to start today by acknowledging the traditional inhabitants of this land, who are the Aboriginal people, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. And we always like to start by taking a moment to align our vibrations with one another. Even though we are physically apart, we can still vibrate in the same level and frequency. So if we can start by closing our eyes, if you feel comfortable with that, and imagine that you are, take a deep breath in. And as you let that out, imagine that you are expelling all the worries of the day along with the air. And we take another breath in. And as we exhale, we imagine letting go of all the tensions that we hold in our shoulder and neck area. We let it all go. And as we take one more breath in, we let it out, imagining our facial muscles relaxing, putting a little smile on our faces, and sitting nice and comfortably, we let this vibration of peace take over our space, our minds, our bodies. And all together, we say the prayer that our brother and guiding light Jesus taught us. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. So be it. You may open your eyes again. Today's topic is all suffering must end, or perhaps we can understand it as all suffering will one day end, right? It's a very appropriate topic for the times that we're currently going through. So much discord in our world nowadays. And today's topic was taken from a variety of sources. The main two being the book Heaven and Hell, or The Divine Justice According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec, which, as we mentioned often, is one of the 5 foundational books of the Spiritist philosophy. And specifically, chapter 6 of the first part. The book is divided in 2 parts, and items 16 to 24. And the whole chapter actually talks about eternal punishment, right? And it's very interesting. I highly recommend you having a proper read, seeing as, we've only got a short time. I also used a passage from the Gospel of John in the Bible in several articles and talks on this topic and similar ones. And it hasn't been an easy one to prepare in the current situation that we're facing. But as always, we always ask that you take any positives from what is said here and try your best to apply it in your life, in your day-to-day life. That is, that is one of the biggest purposes of what we do. And if we ever say anything that you don't like or that you don't agree with, you can actually go ahead and do your own research. We provide our references. There's a lot of different places that, we can do research on nowadays, and you can reach your own conclusions. But basically what we're trying to do is facilitate a moment of reflection on different topics. And So in the Gospel of John, chapter 16, especially in all of chapter 16 leads to this moment, but in what do you call it? The little phrase, 33, Jesus tells the disciples, in this world, you will have troubles. Some, um, some versions say you will have tribulations, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. So I'll say it again. In this world, you will have troubles, but take heart, for I have overcome the world. And so Jesus was at that point in time preparing the disciples for the difficult days that were about to happen, right? He was about to go through everything that we've, like all that difficult time that we've seen, and he was about to leave them physically. And so when he talks about overcoming the world, he doesn't mean, as it might be assumed if we don't stop to think about it, it doesn't mean that he dominated the world or that he conquered the world or that, he was the king of the world. It meant that he came, he did what he had to do, and all the while he remained firm in his moral and his spiritual beliefs, despite all the obstacles that were put in his path. And we can probably agree that his obstacles were indeed greater than anything we may ever have to deal with. And so when he talked about overcoming the world, he's trying to tell us that the real battles are not the ones that we win outwardly, that we win for society, right? That is not what it's really truly about. And it's not to say that it's not great to achieve success in different areas of our lives. Of course, everyone is aspiring for greatness, and it's always a worthwhile endeavor. But there's more to it than that. It's about how we got there, about the type of person we became in order to have those achievements, right? Did we stay true to ourselves while getting to that point, to our beliefs? Did we uphold our morals? How did we treat other people along the way to material success or to personal success? Did we do everything with love? Did we forgive easily, and each time other people didn't perform the way we wish they did? And just between us, that is most of the time, isn't it? How often people don't quite perform the way we expect them to perform. And, Jesus told us that we have to forgive. We have to forgive every time, not 7 times, but 70 times, 7 times, which means really every time. Right? And we say it in the prayer that we say all the time, forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, because it means that we also don't perform the way that people expect us or would like us to. Ask any parent how often their kids don't perform the way they would have liked them to. And, they have to love them anyway, or ideally. So, it's that everyday effort to be the best person that we possibly can be that will help us overcome the world the way Jesus did, or something like it. Of course, he's a very high level example, but we can do our best. We can do our best with everyday efforts and always trying to be the best that we can be. Whatever that is, we're all at different stages of evolution, and so our best selves will mean different things to each person, but that is our task, is to become our best selves. And one of God's greatest gifts is that, he gives us the opportunity, God gives us the opportunity to try again and again. There is so no failure ever need to be final. So no suffering ever needs to be final, ever, because there is no end, and we always get new chances to try again when we don't succeed. So, a lot of people complain about, why is it that God lets us go through so much anguish and so much pain? But we need to remember that God is all love and all kindness. God wants us to be happy and wants us to be successful, and has put us on the path towards happiness and perfection. That's the journey we're all in. But God also gives us free will, and through our free will, we end up in all different types of journeys. So every one of us uses a different GPS, a different path, a different routes to get to where we need to get. But the end point is the same for everyone. So even though it may feel at times as if there is absolutely no end to the worry and the suffering that we go through, and it really does feel that way sometimes when we are in the thick of it. Our vision is still very focused. We have trouble seeing the big picture. So when we are in it, we're in the middle of it, it feels like it's never going to end. But that is not the case. And we need to always keep a few things in mind. I'm going to mention a couple. I'm sure there's a lot more, but just so that we don't lose track. The first one is the law of cause and effect. So we are always going to reap what we sow. So, for example, when we get sick, we often think that just happened like overnight, right? We think that, we were fine yesterday and today we woke up sick. However, in all likelihood, we have probably been engaging in behaviors for quite some time that have resulted in that illness, right? So, and of course, if you ate something that was not, that was not was not good, and you got sick from that, that's a different thing. But a lot of times we have certain behaviors or things that we do or we don't do, and over the course of time, they put us in a place where we are more likely to get sick, because the things that make us sick are around all the time. And we can walk by them, we can touch them, we can do everything, like we can, and not affect us at all if our body is in a certain way. But if our body is in another way, then it gets us, right? So it's often a result of things that we've been doing for a long time. And the same thing happens in other areas of our lives, right? So sometimes something happens to us that we don't like, and we think that it was bad luck, or we think it's someone else's fault, or we think it's due to whatever situation. And not 100% of the time, the majority of times, it's that happened as a result of our actions or our inaction, right? So during our lives, we've been having certain behaviors that led us to where we are, or we should have been having certain behaviors to be where we wanted to be, and we didn't do it, and here we are. We are not where we wanted to be because of what we've been doing for quite some time, right? So things are not as immediate as we think. So oftentimes that is where our suffering comes from, because we are not happy about something, about about a certain situation in life, but we don't stop to think that that's probably a result of things that we either did in this life or perhaps even in another life, right? And so, and when I say this, I have to be really careful, because I'm not trying to say to people to start blaming themselves. That is not the case. The important thing is to realize that, it's not even always necessary to know how you came to be in this situation. The main thing is to understand that we have leverage, and we have, like, we did things to get in this situation. We need to be the ones who do things to get out of this situation. Or if we can't get out of the situation, because let's face it, sometimes we are put into situations that, we can't just get out of them, but how we deal with them is always going to be up to us individually. Every single one of us is going to make the choices. We made the choices to get to where we are, and we're going to make the choices that will take us from where we're going to go from now. So it's up to us to deal with the situations we find ourselves in the best possible way, in a way that maintains our integrity, in a way that is in line with our moral and spiritual beliefs, which is what Jesus was talking about. He was put into a lot of really difficult situations. Not just him, a lot of his disciples did as well. They were put into a lot of very difficult situations. And, the measure of how great they were is how they got through those situations, how they dealt with them, how, if they stayed true to themselves through those situations, or if they let it change them. And one of the other things to keep in mind is the law of reincarnation. So if we continue to follow the example of the illness, in our world today, we have a culture of immediacy. We expect everything to be done very quickly. We have no patience for reading long texts, for putting up with slow internet, with queues, with delayed deliveries. All of that is it's like we get frustrated very quickly, right? We want it all, and we want it now. We're a bit like toddlers, right? And we just want it because we want it, and we want it now. And so when we have any kind of pain or discomfort, be that physical or otherwise, we tend to expect something that will cure it immediately, that will take it away like a magic potion, right? Except that there are no magic potions. Even amazing little pills that we sometimes take, and it seems like they take away whatever was troubling us, very often they are only dealing with the symptoms of what's wrong, but they leave the core of the issue completely untouched, right? They mask it, we forget about it, and then it shows up again later, and we think it's something new, but it's not something new. It's that one that we just left it there to fester. So unless we truly deal with things, they are likely to get more complicated. And this is physically, but that's in every area of our life, right? The more we suppress things, and we sort of try and escape or try and ignore our problems, they are not going to go away, So it is very tricky for us in our current, love of immediate things, to accept that some of our troubles have been building up for a long time, for all of this life, maybe from previous lives, maybe over the course of several lives. So because they've been building for a long time, they can't be resolved in an instant. It's just not possible, right? So it takes us a while, and we need to, because there are lots of different stages we have to go through, right? We need to acknowledge it. We need to accept it. We need to fix it within ourselves. Then we need to fix any damage we may have done to others because of it. It's quite the task, right? So just suffering by itself does not actually cleanse us, right? Some people think that, because they're suffering, they're paying all their dues, and that they're sort of paying for what they did wrong. But we actually have to be quite active in the way we handle our pain within ourselves and with those around us in order to truly atone for stuff that we have done. If that pain or that suffering is as a result of something we've done. Of course, some things happen. Some things are just, but we always have to remember that we are where we are supposed to be. So even then, when it seems like there is a situation where, we personally didn't actually make that happen, but we are going through it for a reason. There is something there that we need to understand, that we need to do, that we need to go through, that we need to help someone through. There is a reason for us to be there. So it often takes us time to actually fix these things, right? The ones that can't be fixed with a magic potion, with a magic pill, because it usually, in our current state of evolution, it takes us a little while to realize what the problem is. It takes us a while to actually understand it. And then it takes us a while to come up with a plan and then to put the plan into action. How often do we actually know what to do and then don't do it, isn't it? And then we need to modify any parts of the plan that maybe are not working or were working before but not anymore. And at any of these stages, oftentimes we give up, right? We think it's too hard, I don't have time, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not rich enough. We have always a lot of excuses, right? And even when we do finally get to the place we want to be within ourselves, we still get tested to make sure that we can maintain, that progress, that make sure it took root and it wasn't just a momentary spark of lightning, right? So we get tested. Does anyone feel like we're being tested right now in this moment in time with everything that's going on? So it's important to be patient. It's important to stop and understand and maybe look at things and check ourselves, making sure that we're not losing all the hard work that we've been doing in our reform, because it is so easy to fall back into bad habits. Even after you've done, you've made a big effort, you've gone, you've done all the right things, and then something happens, and all of a sudden, we seem to be back into, the old ways. So it's always good to sort of do a bit of an audit and see how we're doing with all our goals and our plans and the things, that we want for ourselves out of life. Because otherwise it's easy when it like sometimes things get really tough, and then before we know it, we've let go of, our beliefs, our resolutions. So, this is a very important thing to do, and a very important moment. And I would like to encourage you, if you've been working on yourself to be a better person, to stay the course. Don't deviate. Don't give up. Even when it doesn't seem like it's going to happen or that is, you're going to make it. It is worth it. Stay the course. And if you have been working on yourself to be a better person and got a bit lost for whatever reason, you can still get back on track. The journey back sometimes may be a bit hard depending on how far away from your goal you strayed, but it is always worth it. It's always worth it. Get back on track. And if you haven't started your journey yet, if you're not working on your inner reform, if you haven't actually, if you're still at the starting line and you've just been going with the flow and seeing where this takes us, then there's still time to get started. There's still always time to get started. So, but the longer it takes for us to get started, possibly the longer it will take us to get where we want to be. So, as our beloved medium Chico Xavier used to say, though nobody can go back and make a new beginning, anyone can start over and make a new ending. So I'd like to now move on to our prayer and vibrations. And, it's more important than ever right now to stay true to our prayers and our spiritual practices. If you don't have the habit, it's very important to get started. If you have the habit, please continue. If you used to have the habit and lost it, please get back to it. There's a very big wave of anxiety and fear and discontent surrounding us at every turn, and even invading our houses and our minds through the media and through what everyone is saying and feeling. And prayer and meditation is a really good way to disconnect us from that low vibration, to get us back in touch with who we really are and what is truly important. It is in those moments that we find our strength. And, we're all human, and, therefore we're all a little bit imperfect, or a lot imperfect. And, if you, like me, have had some slip-ups, don't waste any time in blame or the low energy behavior. The most important thing is to get back on track, because you're worth it. I'm worth it. We're all worth it. And God wants us to succeed. And like Jesus, to overcome the world. So if you feel comfortable, please close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Make sure that you are physically comfortable. And connect with your guiding spirit. They're right there, right next to you, ready to help you with loving and healing thoughts. And you can imagine these thoughts as a white light, or a fluffy cloud, or a rainbow. Anything that works for you and makes you feel peaceful. Anything that brings a little smile to your face and makes you feel relaxed. It takes a lot more muscles to tense up your face than it does to smile. So let this feeling expand to every single part of your body, in your mind, in your systems, your organs. Let it take over you until you feel so much light within you that you are ready to share it with the world around you. Always remembering that we are all brothers and sisters in this together. So share your light with the world, with everyone, with no distinctions. It doesn't matter if you know them, if you don't know them. Just share the light that is overflowing from you. And your guiding spirit will help take that light wherever you feel that you can't reach. And slowly come back to your body and your mind and your awareness, and open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Just before we go, we always have a few little messages. So it seems that the number of people following us has been dropping a little lately. So if you are there, please let us know with one of the reactions that are available, or maybe a little message. We prepare these chats with a lot of love and a lot of effort. So it's really nice to know whether there is someone out there. And also letting you know that our campaigns of the breakfast packs for the homeless and donations of essential items to people that are going through dire needs continues. And without us having the meetings physically or any fundraising events, we really need everyone's help more than ever to keep these efforts, things going with, our programs of helping people. So if you are able to help materially, please make a donation to our bank account. The details are in all our social media and website, or you can ask any one of us and we'll pass it on to you. You can also help in person if you are in Melbourne. We always need volunteers for the delivery days. And you can also help with your prayers. You can always help with your prayers. They are always welcome. And we also have a live event coming up on Saturday, the 16th of October, I believe. Oh gosh, I hope I got that date right. And so please save the date. And more details will come over the following weeks. But that's it from me today. So stay well, be kind to yourself and to others, and take care. Much love. Bye.